That bombshell from Jeff Bezos of Amazon, the world's richest man, is taking on the publisher of the National Enquirer, accusing the media giant run by a longtime friend of President Trump of trying to blackmail him with compromising photos. Now, instead of giving in, Bezos counterattacked in public. ABC's Lindsay Davis starts us off with the details. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, George. A bold move here by the richest man in the world. He's essentially saying, expose me? No, I'll expose you. In addition to accusing the publisher of the National Enquirer of extortion and blackmail, he's also publishing tell-all emails that he says are from AMI as proof.
This morning, Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, is taking on a media titan. In a bombshell blog post, the billionaire accuses AMI, the publisher of the National Enquirer, of blackmail and extortion. According to Bezos, AMI threatened to publish embarrassing, intimate photos of the Amazon founder unless he stopped his investigation into just how the National Enquirer obtained text messages between Bezos and his reported girlfriend, Lauren Sanchez. Those messages splashed across the pages of the Enquirer just days after Bezos and his wife announced they were getting a divorce. In exchange for not running the new pictures, AMI demanded Bezos stop accusing the Enquirer of politically motivated reporting, calling the claims defamation. Bezos writing in a blog post, "Of course, I don't want personal photos published, but I also won't participate in their well-known practice of blackmail, political favors, political attacks, and corruption." Also noting the publication had the confidence to put their so-called threats in writing. He shared an alleged email sent from AMI's chief content officer describing multiple personal photos they had obtained of Bezos, including a below-the-belt selfie, several suggestive photos of Sanchez, and a selfie of Bezos wearing nothing but a white towel and his wedding ring. Bezos, who's worth a reported $137 billion, wrote, "If in my position I can't stand up to this kind of extortion, how many people can?" The National Enquirer has long been known for its shocking headlines and salacious scoops over the years. Now Bezos, who's also the owner of the Washington Post, says the National Enquirer's reporting on his personal life may be politically motivated, referencing Pecker's reported attempts to expand his business to Saudi Arabia, and pointing to the AMI chief's close relationship with the president, who has reportedly mocked Bezos as Jeff Bozo on Twitter and made light of his pending divorce. The tabloid and its parent company are run by David Pecker, a longtime friend of President Trump. Last year, AMI reached a plea agreement with federal prosecutors in exchange for immunity.
They got OJ, they got Edwards, they got this. I mean, if that was the New York Times, they would have gotten Pulitzer Prizes for their reporting.
The company admitted to so-called catch-and-kill tactics at the direction of members of Trump's campaign, paying thousands of dollars for the rights to stories that could be damaging to the then candidate and making them disappear.
And overnight journalist Ronan Farrow tweeted that he and at least one other prominent journalist also received threats of blackmail from AMI. He says that they were targeted while working on stories about the National Enquirer's arrangement with Trump. We reached out to AMI for comment, but did not hear back. George.
Okay, Lindsay, thanks. Whole bunch of everything going on in this story. Law and media, politics. We have the perfect person to talk to about it. Dan Abrams.
Unbelievable. I mean, this story is just amazing.
So let's start out. We saw what's in Jeff Bezos' letter. Does what he described meet the legal definition of extortion, blackmail?
Maybe. First of all, under federal extortion law, you would need a threat and you'd need to be demanding something of value. There's a question as to whether this was an overt, specific threat or just a suggestion. There's also a question about whether it was something of value. And also, American media's defense here would be it was a dispute. They were going to publish something false in the Washington Post. We were telling them what we would publish. We were trying to negotiate this, and this was all part of the negotiation. So there is a line here, and the question is, did they cross it? There's also possible state crimes as well. In New York, it's a little easier to prosecute something like this.
The other legal twist here, remember, David Pecker was cooperating against President Trump in that campaign finance case, the payoffs to Karen McDougal, Stormy Daniels. Does this complicate that cooperation agreement he had with prosecutors here in New York?
If there's a crime, yes. So one of the conditions of his agreement is that they would not commit another crime. And so if it is determined that this was a crime, this could be a huge problem for his cooperation agreement. But again, that brings us back to question one, which is it a crime? Would they prosecute? You know, again, I think it's a close call.
So let's go to the media side of it right now. Bezos has basically dared the National Enquirer to publish those photos.
Yeah.
What happens next?
So I do think there's still copyright issues, which he mentions in his letter as well, which is the person who takes a picture owns the copyright to the photo. There's an exception called fair use, which means if it's newsworthy, it's something that is worth commenting on, that's important enough. And the American media would say, for example, that him taking a picture of himself at a business meeting could be newsworthy. I don't know that that's a really easy argument, but that's a civil issue, not criminal. That's about money damages, not about prosecution. But I think there's going to be hesitation on their part.
Well, the other thing Bezos throws out there is that there are multiple other independent investigations now going on of the National Enquirer.
And now you have to ask yourself, is there going to be a larger investigation here into American media's practices from a criminal perspective, not just from a sort of journalistic perspective?
Ronan Farrow talking about those threats that he got as well.
Yeah.
Dan Abrams, thanks very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.